It's lovely opportunity to be here, and I'm sorry that Graham's left, because I was going to say this isn't a pretend Scottish accent, and I'm not going to pretend to try and do his, but he's gone for the afternoon now. I'm just going to use the opportunity that I have today to say a wee bit about who we are at Kidney Research UK, a little bit about what we do and why we do it, and I think we've heard lots of reasons this morning to understand that, and very much what you can do to help. And again, this morning we've heard it all the way through everyone's presentations about the role patients play and how we all need to work together to make the results that we're hearing about happen. Talking of working together, the last slide we just saw that you were sponsored, Aga, by funded by Kidney Research UK and by Kids Kidney Research. And actually this week we've just announced that the two organisations are going to merge and unite to work together to fund research that's relevant, of course, to both young people and adults. And we are confident that will mean we can do more together than we were doing separately. So that theme of what we can do together is definitely very much part of how we work as an organisation. So our mission is pretty straightforward, really. We want to increase awareness of kidney health because we think that helps us tackle the disease. We want to fund and deliver, and we probably should add another word in there, more life-saving research into kidney diseases. And also at the same time work to improve treatments for people, and we've heard a little bit again about that today, so that the quality of life that people who are living with kidney disease now have is better than it perhaps was in the past, while we're striving to find all of those other things about cures and early diagnosis. We've got to focus on the people who are living with the disease now too. So there's loads of statistics up there which you'll find on our website, and I always think there's no, individually in there'll be one that attracts you, there'll be one that captures your attention, perhaps because it's relevant to you or you just feel it has more impact. But we've put them there just as a kind of snapshot, really, of the research challenge we face as the funding body for kidney research in the UK. And there's lots of things we're tackling, and we're doing them all at the same time. And you heard some of the work going on upstairs. It's about doing all sorts of things from different points of view and in different places, and then it all comes together as a final result. So our main focus is making sure we reduce the impact of each of these statistics that you can see there. So whichever one captures your attention, you can rest assured we'll be doing something about it by funding work in Bristol and in other parts of the UK to make sure we don't let any of these statistics just sit on the shelf and unchanged. And to show you a little bit about I'm very proud that we've got our strategy on one page. You can't see it there, and I'm not expecting you to see it. But I just wanted to show how important patients are throughout our overall strategy of everything we do as an organisation. So this is our one-pager that we have. Again, it's on the website, and it's what we do and who we are. And patients are very much in every section. So when we stop to say what is the kidney health problem, which is the big line on the top, and the problem is, of course, that there isn't a cure, that there's an increasing number of people with kidney failure, treatment's expensive, poor quality of life on dialysis, not enough kidneys for transplantation, late diagnosis, a whole host of things. Also on that top line of the kidney health problem, we think, is limited patient involvement. There's not enough patient involvement as there is in some other kidney areas. Obviously, you're all very committed and active patients, and that's why you're here today. But out there in the big wide world in the UK, we need more patients to be active and involved. So we've listed that as one of our strategic problems. And we very much recognise that we want to work in partnership with patients, and you've heard that from probably every speaker today. So we're not, it's not a lip service to it, it actually is the reality. We need patients in the mix to make the research better. And we need you there at every level, not just at the end when we're saying how's that result and how does that feel for you, but we need patients to be involved in helping us design the research that we do, and I'll come back to that later, and also monitoring the research so that we understand, has it had an impact? Are we doing the right things? Are we funding the right researchers to answer the questions you want us to ask? And will that lead to better treatments and outcomes for patients? So the bottom line is, what do we want to see happen from all of our work that we're doing every day across the country? What do we want to see? And we want to see better treatments and better outcomes for patients, better prospects for you. And we need to be having those conversations with you to say, is that what's actually happening? And are we making sure we remain focused as a charity on the right things? The other thing that we recognise is, and we've heard it today, so I'm doing a wee bit of kind of wrapping up of all the fantastic things we've heard this morning, is that the research journey is really long, and we need to make sure patients are available and with us and engaged in it at all of those different stages. So the very basic science that we call, it's not at all basic, of course, it's enormously complex, but the word people use to describe it is basic science that we've seen upstairs in the labs. We need patients to be involved in that. And sometimes when I meet researchers, when I first joined the charity and met researchers, they didn't see patients that often. I don't know if anyone recognises that. I mean, obviously the researchers today are face-to-face with you and chatting with you, but there are some researchers who are not actually thinking patient all of the time. And I think we all need to play a part in saying, you need to remember that's the end result here. That's why we're all doing this work. So patients involved right at the very beginning in that preclinical research, and then that bench to bedside we heard someone talk about earlier, that translational research. Of course patients are going to be involved in there. But all the way through some of these big clinical trials, they take years to happen, but the outcome is worth waiting for. And our role as a kidney charity is to try and make sure we remove any barriers that slow that down and help keep the pace and the momentum by backing it, whether that's financially or with other support, or by trying to engage other people, including industry partners. So you heard from Liz about the big Nurture project, and we're playing quite a big part in trying to get the pharmaceutical partners totally engaged with the work that's happening to make this very exciting project go ahead. So there's a whole lot of stages, and somewhere on that journey of research there'll be something you might be able to be part of as a patient. And I thought it might help just to show the kind of funding that we've done over the years and where our money goes. And this is a new updated map. It doesn't take us back to 1961 when the charity started, because I don't think we were counting the money then. So this is from the 1980s, 20 years in. That's the kind of money that we've been spending in different places, and you can see it's quite dispersed. So I think there is a little pointer here, is there? How do I press the pointer without moving slides? That one? Oh, here we go. I think that 2.1 million might be Bristol, will be included in that. Does that look geographically right? No, where am I? I'm down here. 8 million, even more then. That's better. I should have checked my map before I came. So where will 2.1 be? Birmingham? Birmingham, perhaps. So you can see particularly Bristol here is a really important place for us because there's such good work going on that over the years we've obviously been investing a significant amount of money down here, and we're seeing significant output. So we always strive to get great value for money, and Bristol certainly does that for us and for you. So particularly about research into nephrotic syndrome, I thought we would use another map to show you that not everything's happening here in Bristol, and some of the people that have found out some of the things we've been hearing about today or building on today are actually based in other parts of the country. So these are just a sample of some of the things that we've funded in the past. So Dr. Barry Denholm, who's up in Edinburgh, and I do know that, although I'm not from Edinburgh, I'm pretty sure that's Edinburgh and not Glasgow. Can anyone verify that? Is Barry in Edinburgh? He's in Bournemouth now, but that's not Bournemouth. I definitely know that's not Bournemouth. And then obviously that we're down in London doing some of the genetic work as well. Aoife Waters is down there doing some work on nephrotic syndrome as well as another rare disease that we're funding her to look into. And Nick Webb's in Manchester, and I think we heard from some of that team earlier too. And then of course Dr. Wen down here we heard from and opened the day.
That was our first talk today. Yes.
Opened the talk today. So we're delighted to be supporting these different projects that all then come together. And I think the other theme of today is about sharing, isn't it? And you've heard things that have been learned in one place and in one period of time, funded by us or funded by someone else. It's a matter of bringing it all together so there's a really in-depth understanding and we're not missing any of the exciting breakthroughs. As people make them, they're shared, and as they're shared, they're developed and moving on to the next stage. So some people might say, why involve patients and carers? And who better, we say, can you get to be involved in research than the people who are directly going to benefit from it? You heard again someone use the same term, patients are experts in living with their own condition. And you don't have to have specialised knowledge or be scientifically trained to give a massive contribution into what the researchers are doing. You have to be willing to be engaged and answer the questions that they're asking, but also to ask the researchers some questions too, because your knowledge and experience is what the whole research community needs to enable us to really get moving and tackle things. And we actively try to engage and encourage patients and carers to be involved in research. So Sarah, some of you might have met earlier, right at the back there. Sarah's our patient involvement coordinator. It's a new post we probably started about 3 years ago. And Sarah is a patient herself and is out and about and here today, but who knows where tomorrow, encouraging people to put their name in to be part of a clinical trial if that's appropriate, or just to be talking with the researchers and with us so that we can make sure we make the most of what you're offering. And we do that in a whole host of different ways. We ask patients we support days like this. When we were invited, I think by Mariam, you wrote.
I think it was Liz last year that organised them.
Was it Liz that wrote? Asked us, and would we be involved and help provide some funding, a small amount of funding to make the day happen? Yes, of course we'll do that, because it's really important to have days like this. I hope that's what you're going to say when you finish. But it's also really important that you go away from today and think, what else might you be able to do? And someone's just asked, what do I do to find out if I'm on the register? So we encourage people to do that. And I think the more conversations you have, the more likely that's going to happen. So we ask patients to be involved in everything and to help us promote the fact that research is really important. Sorry, I jumped my slide. I should have been telling you about Sarah now. So there's Sarah out in the rain supporting some of our walkers, and she'll be very happy to talk to you about ways that you can help over and above what you might be hearing about today, to talk and advocate really for patient involvement in research. And patients are involved in every level of our organisation. So we have a lay advisory committee, which is that's a small portion of them up in the top right-hand corner. I think we've got about 20 members on the lay advisory committee now, 23 now. So a large group of people who advise us. Most of them are patients, not all. Some are carers, but the majority of them are actual patients themselves. And they play a vital part in keeping us on track, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to be kept on track by the people that we're here to serve. 5 of our trustees are patients or carers themselves, so that's 5 out of a group of 14. So again, quite a strong presence on our trustee board, and that is a definite plan. Is if patients come off our trustee board, we find new ones to replace them. And throughout all of that, there's a real strategic leadership of the organisation by patients, which we're very proud of. And then there's the functional things where patients are actually on project teams, and that's very much part of Sarah's job, is to get patients to be registered to be part of the project lead, patient project leads for some of these specific projects that you've heard about today. So we keep a register of all the projects that are happening, and if we're needed to, we talk with the researchers about how we can help them find a patient to be on that group and their patient advisors for the duration of that project. So that's some of the projects now where we have patient voice. And part of that will be about organising patient days like this. You heard earlier about the rare disease groups, and kidney research has been supportive in the development of radar and rare diseases. On the left-hand side here, you can see nephrotic syndrome is listed amongst the many other rare diseases that are on that registry. And I think we've been behind supporting that development of the registry, which you're now hearing is being put to great use. And then on each of the rare disease groups, we have a patient representative. And again, that's a picture of some of those representatives on different groups. In addition to the rare disease groups, there's clinical study groups. And they all talk to each other, and you'll see on the right-hand side the groups that are relevant perhaps to some of you today. So there's a group looking at transplantation, and there's a group looking at dialysis to try and push forward the research that's happening in those areas. And there's a patient representative on each of those. In fact, I think we normally try to have 2 patient representatives. Share the load. Oh. And patient stories is another way that you can really help the researchers and also help us as a charity develop awareness of what we're doing. And you heard Graham and Carla talking this morning and telling us their story, really powerful, about how they approached or how Carla approached that diagnosis, and then how the family backed her with that. And patient stories are what makes an organisation like ours interesting to the wider public, interesting to politicians, which is really important because that helps us generate more funds, and if we generate more funds, we have more opportunity to invest in research. So if you are interested in telling your story, either now or potentially in the future, we would be very, very pleased to hear from you. This top picture here is a family in the House of Lords sharing their story, which we were then able to go back to the people who heard us talk, heard this fabulous mum talking about her twins, one of whom has kidney disease and one doesn't. And then we were able to go back and capture all the people who'd been captivated by her story and talk to them about how government can help us make a difference and put more money into research, create the time in the NHS for research to happen, and really ensure that kidney disease doesn't get left behind in its visibility compared to some of the other perhaps diseases that seem to be in the forefront more than we are. And you've heard about how you might be able to be involved in research. There are other ways you can do that too. If you want, I've already been invited to cycle on the back of a tandem from Land's End to John O'Groat, and I'm actively trying to think, how do I get out of it? So I'll have to do something else. But whatever it is that takes your fancy, for me it's definitely not a tandem. One of my other colleagues tried to get me to do the Ride 100, which is 100 miles through London on the back of a tandem. I said no to that. I've said no today to Land's End to John O'Groat, so I'll have to think of something that I might do. But whatever it is you have an interest in, perhaps that's different from cycling, there might be something you can do that is about getting involved. It might be about having a word with the local shop that you shop in, or your local hairdressers, to take a collection box. That's much easier than riding all those miles on a bike. Or it might be about talking on the radio about what kidney disease has meant to you. I've just been doing it today, and I followed a patient who'd been speaking just before me. So whatever it is you think you might want to do, or if you're not sure yet, I'm sure Sarah and Wendy would be able to coordinate and say, let's find a way where you can do something over and above the things perhaps you're doing now. So we had a patient survey recently, and I don't know if any of you took part in that. And in that survey, we wanted you to tell us, what did you want us to be researching? When we were formed in 1961, we were created by the renal doctors who had questions they wanted answered. So they formed a research charity to answer them. And we still get questions back from the renal doctors, but we also now get questions from the researchers themselves who've raising questions. And we get questions from patients. And so we're now got lots of masters telling us, you must find the answers to that question. And that's a great thing. So the research hasn't been published yet. This patient survey is being analysed now. So this really is hot off the press. And Sarah put it together on a slide for me to tell you what we think we're going to be publishing very soon. It's almost out, it's almost publishable. So we had 2,279 responses, which is more than double the last time we did it. We're really delighted for people taking the time to give us their feedback. And we asked them, what do you want us to be researching? What are your top priorities? So when we last did this in 2013, that's the ranking. The top priority was to find a cure for kidney disease, and then prevention, causes of specific kidney diseases, the kind of things we've talked about today, all the way down to number 7, and there were lots more, but these are the top 7, improving the quality of life. So the changes we're seeing this time, 3 years later, still at number 1, cure for kidney disease, still at number 2, prevention of kidney disease. Early detection of kidney diseases has moved up. Finding sources of new organs for transplants has moved up. And improving treatments to make damaged kidneys last longer has moved up. And that might be because we're focusing on that now and it's more in people's minds that that's something we've actually got the potential to change. And then there were 2 new ones. It's like if I could do the music, I would do the hit charts. But there's 2 new entries to the chart this year. One of them is improving methods of transplantation, and the other one is stem cell research. I don't know if that's something that people in the audience are thinking, what's happening around that, regenerative medicine or using stem cells to tackle kidney disease. So they're new, and they're all areas we're looking at. We'll be holding that up against our list of research and saying, does that match the kind of things we're funding now? So I think that was all I had to say. I was delighted when I went upstairs, for those of you that went into the little dark room and met Carol. When I first joined Kidney Research 4 years ago, I was asked to speak 6 days after I'd started. So I was a wee bit scared, I thought, big audience, 6 days in, I don't know very much about kidney disease, and I'm the chief executive and people will think I do. And I went to have a cup of tea before I spoke. And I asked some people, could I sit with them? And it was the Bristol team. I chose the best team to sit next to. And Carol was there, and he was nervous because he was about to present too. So we shared the fact we were both nervous, we were both about to go and present. And I've always felt quite close to him now. So every time we come to Fellows Day, I always look out for Carol. And I came here today and I couldn't find him. I had to go through a wee whirly door to get him to a room in the dark. But the Bristol team here, as you've heard, are doing fantastic things. We're very proud to be able to be supporting that. And if there's anything as a research charity we can do to support your involvement in research, please ask us. Contact me directly or contact Sarah. You'll find our details on the website. And we're very happy to be involved.